Hey, what is going on, guys? In this video today, we're going to be going over a lot of really interesting new information about Fortnite Season 8. And all of this information comes directly from the Fortnite developers. On Friday, February 22nd, 3 Fortnite developers held an AMA on the official Fortnite subreddit. If you guys aren't familiar with that term, it stands for Ask Me Anything. So it's basically just an online question and answer session. Of the 3 developers who are answering questions, one's from the design side of Fortnite, another's on the digital engineering team, and the third is directly involved in production of the game. Now, when I first saw this announced, I thought it was basically just going to be a PR stunt. Show up, answer a few questions, not really reveal much information, and then leave. But these developers actually ended up answering a ton of questions and revealed a lot of super important information about what Fortnite has planned for Season 8 and beyond. And one thing I want you guys to keep in mind here is that in a popular AMA like this, there are literally thousands of questions and probably only about 30 to 40 of them actually got answered. So that means that if they chose to answer a question during this AMA, it probably means something because they could have just easily ignored it and nobody would have really noticed or cared. So it should be an interesting video, and without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so the first question and answer is probably one that you've heard about already, but I'll just quickly share it anyway. A Reddit user named Tony Macaroni asked, will planes be gone next season? And Epic Eric SW, who is the developer associated with game design, replied, planes will be vaulted at the start of Season 8. Get your airtime in now. So for most of you guys out there, that is some incredibly positive news. I think that planes were actually a pretty ambitious idea by Fortnite, but they were simply too overpowered. The problem is, no matter how hard Epic nerfed them, they were still basically a multi-use Rift to go that had a minigun attached to the front of it. So I'm happy to see them go, and I'm interested to see if there's some kind of a replacement coming at the beginning of Season 8. The next 3 questions from the AMA that I want to go over are regarding potential map changes in Season 8. Now, like I said about a minute ago, keep in mind, these developers could have easily just ignored these questions, but they specifically went out of their way to answer them. The first one was asked by a user named Flaming Leo, and he said, are there any plans on bringing back old popular points of interest such as risky reels? I see tons of requests to bring them back every once in a while. In response to this, RZE Live, the developer who's on the production side of Fortnite, responded, nothing like this is ever off the table, with a winky face at the end of it. So I think based on that suggestive / cryptic answer there, combined with the fact that he specifically chose to answer this question, it's a pretty safe bet that Season 8 will likely feature the return of at least one old point of interest. The original question specifically mentioned risky reels, which was replaced by the block a few months ago, so that's definitely a pretty strong possibility. And maybe that answer ties into this next question by Pliskin94. He asked the developers, do you guys miss prison as much as I do? Which, if you guys don't remember, was a somewhat popular point of interest right next to Moisty Mire, until it was removed from the game at the beginning of Season 5. Eric SW simply replied to that question with one word, yes. So is it possible that he was just playing around with that answer and trying to stir up some controversy? Absolutely. But when you combine that with the previous question and answer regarding old POIs being added back into the game, it definitely makes you think. And the final question regarding potential changes to the map comes from Thomas Jr. 260, who asked, will the building in Tilted ever be safe? To which RZE replied with the shrugging shoulders emoji, followed by, is anything ever really safe? And the building that Thomas is talking about in this question is the building positioned between Big Bertha and Big Brick, which seemingly gets remodeled every month or so. Originally, it was a really nice 3-story building, then it got hit by a meteor and destroyed, then it got rebuilt, then destroyed again. At a few points, it had a bunch of wooden pallets inside of it, and currently, it's a bit of a smaller multi-level building. So I'm guessing that response by RZE means that the building will likely be destroyed or or at the very least remodeled once again at the beginning of Season 8. Maybe it's even a part of that Kraken event we talked about in my Everything We Know About Season 8 video. So that covers all of the questions that were answered regarding potential changes to the Fortnite map. Now we move on to questions that deal with upcoming gameplay changes. And it almost seems like these developers gave us a nice little preview of the Season 8 patch notes because there was a lot of really good information provided here. The first one is some incredible news for the console players specifically. KyRich420 asked, could you have the option for all consoles, including Nintendo Switch, to lower graphic settings and remove things like motion blur and shadows? The Epic developers collectively responded to that question by saying, we're adding an option to disable motion blur off by default in Season 8. Disabling shadows currently provides a gameplay benefit. This is not our intention, and we're tweaking the way shadows are rendering to both brighten them and also make characters stand out better. This is going to be an ongoing effort starting with V8.0, and we will evaluate other options if this doesn't end up working. I've discussed this multiple times before on my channel, so I won't say much in this video other than the fact that this is amazing news. It's a change that console has needed for a while now, and it's a step in the right direction to bridging the gap between console and PC. Next up, more good news for all Fortnite players regardless of your platform. Zetros asked, do you intend on improving the gameplay sound? Now, the developer's response to this question was very long and honestly very confusing. For example, here's what they said when talking about improved weapon firing sounds. All player weapon fire sounds are now 2D stereo, giving them a much fuller and more natural sound. All third-person weapon sounds from other players are now mono and run through the new reverb, which gives much better point spatialization while still sounding quote-unquote in the world. First off, I'm not entirely convinced that spatialization is actually a real word, and second off, if you understood that response from the developers, you're probably some kind of a sound technician. But based on what I could understand from their response, it sounds like they're really making it a priority to improve Fortnite's in-game sound. And that's really awesome to hear, no pun intended, because you shouldn't need a $300 headset to determine if somebody's on the floor above you or the floor below you. Moving on, here's a really interesting question that led to a really interesting response. C4 Falcons asked, will respawning enter the game? Perhaps more measures to cancel thirsting? And RZE actually replied with, we've been considering this mechanic for a while and have been exploring it. We want to make sure we give it the time it needs and fully understand its impact on the game as a whole. Look for further updates during Season 8. So that was definitely a response that I don't think anybody was really expecting. Respawn in regular Fortnite modes is something that we've never seen mentioned before this. I'm guessing it would work somewhat similar to how it does in Apex, or maybe there would be something like a gold rarity revive potion that would give you the ability to respawn one of your dead teammates. So there's no guarantee that any of this is definitely going to happen, but Epic is clearly doing some kind of very serious experimentation with the idea. Speaking of features from Apex Legends, Moss_Zeta asked, have you considered any improvements in team communication? Currently, it's not very effective. Also, you have to stand still to use squad commands. At least let us use the commands while moving. Eric SW answered that with, there's some improvements coming in Season 8 that will help with map markers and team communication, and we're always mindful of how we can make these areas better. So at least to me, it sounds like we may be getting something similar to the Apex pinging mechanic in Fortnite. If you don't know what that is, it basically allows you to easily mark specific weapons, items, and even enemies, so your teammates can easily find them. Although I don't know much about Apex Legends, I've heard that the pinging system is one of the coolest and most unique features in the entire game. So hopefully Fortnite can give us something very similar for their game. And the final question regarding gameplay changes from the AMA that I want to cover in this video comes from Son of Gary. He asks, are you planning on keeping the driftboard, or will it just be a limited time thing? And Eric SW responded to that by saying, we're working on a new single occupancy vehicle and aren't quite sure how they'll play together. The driftboard's reception has been really positive though, so we're actively discussing how long it should stick around. So he doesn't give any kind of hint about what the new vehicle will actually be, but my guess is that we'll see it as either a part of the beginning of Season 8 or very shortly after that. Plus, I'm interested to see if the driftboard ends up staying because I think it's one of the most fun items they've added in a while. And before I wrap this video up, I'll leave you guys with one last interesting reply from the developers. Getsumi asked for just one word to describe Season 8, to which the developers replied, bananas. Is that actually a hint towards something or just a playful little tease that mostly means nothing? I guess we'll just have to wait and see. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you watched the entire thing, be sure to let me know with a comment down in the comment section below. This video covered a bunch of information and hints regarding things to come in Fortnite Season 8. So what is the one thing you're either most excited for or most want to see in Season 8? Is it the new changes to the map, the new Battle Pass stuff, or the removal of planes, which I'm sure will be a very common answer. Be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications, do whatever the heck you want, and I will catch you guys next time.